topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Well, welcome to my radio and TV show, Debi Changes Lives. I'm Debi, your certified holistic health coach. I revitalize people's lives by helping them identify the root causes of their health and mindset issues and create a custom natural holistic strategy to address them in the areas of mind, body, and soul. As a health coach, I'm not allowed to say that I heal, treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose any diseases. I can certainly make your body more efficient by reducing symptoms. You'll feel better, be more productive, and enjoy life more. Not many people have released 70 pounds, had a health transformation, they kept fit and trim for over a decade. I have, and I have staying power, and it's been over 11 years. I even became a half marathon runner at the age of 51, when I never ran from childhood to adulthood due to foot pain, and I have done 8 half marathons so far. Mindset is the key to lasting change. As a certified holistic health coach, I do revitalize people's lives in many different areas of health and mindset. You can change the slide. And I guide people to clean, toxic-free foods and high-quality essential nutrient products. My coaching is for optimizing your health, efficiently releasing weight, and enhancing your mindset. With my mindset coaching, I help my clients recognize that their thoughts, feelings, and emotions drive their actions and results. That's why, and that could be something good or something bad. That's why it's crucial to have a positive mindset in life to succeed. And you need to learn how to manage your emotions. It's imperative because you need to release those low vibrational emotions, such as fear, frustration, and doubt, because they'll slow you down physically and also stop you physically, mentally, or emotionally. Like a hot air balloon that has ballasts, I help my clients release their emotional ballasts so they get uplift to a happier, healthier life. In turn, they are releasing their stress and reshaping their core beliefs. You'll see and feel the differences with my coaching programs. And set up a complimentary consultation. Just ask me about them on my LifeTree at Debi Changes Lives, DebiChangesLives, as in Victory, ES.com/LifeTree, LINKTREE. And I'll guide you to that better, happier, healthier life. Life events can be unexpected. And it's good to know that you have life preservers established for those troubled times. Today, I have Scott Harrell, the founder of LifeTree Prosperity. His firm is devoted to helping women, especially business owners, to secure their futures through smart, customized insurance and financial planning. With 25 years of experience, Scott is not only a licensed and health agent, he's also a published author and has published one book and working on 2. Scott specializes in guiding women through the complex world of health insurance, long-term care, income protection, and tax-smart financial strategies. His mission is simple and powerful: to help you preserve your independence, protect your income, and create financial strategies that will sustain whatever's thrown at you. Whether you're a professional, entrepreneur, or caregiver, Scott's going to be sharing some practical strategies so that you'll have a successful and prosperous 2025 and your life as well. We'll be discussing smart financial moves for women. So let's welcome Scott Harrell, the founder of LifeTree Prosperity. And let's welcome Scott on. Thank you.
Great to be here.
Thank you.
I never knew LifeTree Prosperity was a tongue twister, but
I was saying LifeTree. Yeah, I know. That's okay. You know that I get my tongue tied all the time.
Me too. Yep.
Now we're going to be talking about long-term care. And personally, I feel it's so important to have long-term care for the unexpected accidents, events, and even hospitalizations that you don't expect. What are some simple steps that you recommend to busy women who need to address long-term care planning but feel overwhelmed?
Well, that's a great question. And the reason why it's an important question is that often people have a misconception about what long-term care is. And probably the most common scenario I hear about is something along the lines of, my parents are elderly and they need long-term care insurance. And guess what? That's the wrong approach, because generally it's too late.
Yes.
So the main consideration about long-term care is that it's a long-term consideration, and you should certainly be thinking about it by the time you're in your 50s. If you're smart, you'll start thinking about it in your 40s. If you're like most people, you'll be desperately trying to find something in your early 60s, and the window's kind of rapidly closing at that point, because unfortunately, one of the hurdles with long-term care is the costs do increase with age, and also you have a higher likelihood of being limited or decline based on health considerations. So to summarize that part of it, the main thing is to have that long-term strategy in mind, and don't think, oh, I'm only 40, I can worry about it later. You should, first of all, don't worry about it, but plan, be smart about it. And education's key, because most people also don't understand what the different types of long-term care are.
Yes. Yes.
So if I could continue.
You may.
Thanks. That's why I'm here, right?
Right.
A lot of people also have, they don't understand what long-term care insurance is. And a typical scenario is if they have a corporate job, and then in their list of HR benefits, they'll have things like 401k, and then some group health insurance, and then maybe something that's related to long-term care, but they don't really know what it is. They don't know what it's good for, or disability even. So
very true.
People tend to not worry about it. They see something and they go, I don't want to deal with this. And then they put it off until they really need it. We're all guilty. I mean, there are certain things that we just don't want to have to deal with, because it's painful to consider the costs, consider the fact that we're mortal, we have mortality to think about. Then you start thinking about maybe your elderly relatives and how rough it was, and then so you get a snowball effect going. So that's the other wrong approach. So my main suggestion, and this applies particularly to women because they don't seem to be offered or encouraged to have this education as easily as men, because it's, the whole typical, the man makes the money, the woman takes care of the family. That is still at play in our society, even though it's only true for probably 25% of households anymore. Mm-hmm. So I encourage women to be self-educated, and I also make that an invitation to talk to them to help guide them in the right direction with no strings attached to that. I want to be a source of information to help people.
Yes. Now, with long-term care, I know we think about the elderly, and maybe my conception is wrong. Um, let's say if somebody is in a motorcycle accident, they're 36 years old, and they need long-term care for the rest of their life. Doesn't it apply to them too?
Well, potentially, but that's also like a disability situation. So that's actually technically a different type of coverage.
Okay.
So, but if you do become disabled for a certain period of time, you could be eligible for long-term care. Now, there's types of long-term care that are included as part of a life insurance policy. We
Okay.
call those living benefits.
Okay.
And there's a whole spectrum of different choices available in terms of what's covered, for how long, and what the amounts are. But many life insurance policies do have what they call living benefits that will cover you if you become permanently disabled, or if you have a terminal illness or a permanent disabling illness, or if you know you have a diagnosis that you're going to pass away within 2 years, they can accelerate your death benefit, different options like that. So that still falls under the umbrella of long-term care, but it's technically not long-term care insurance, because
Okay.
long-term care insurance most often is either a separate policy, and those have been around since 50s, 60s, and
Yes.
those are becoming increasingly expensive and difficult,
Yes.
but they have their place, and I offer those. And I actually work with another specialist who is like the guru of that type of traditional long-term care. But then we also have what we call hybrids, which is kind of more my niche, because that's more accessible for a lot of people and it has more flexibility. So the biggest limitation with what they call classic long-term care, it's a use it or lose it proposition. So you put money into it with the expectation or the likelihood that you're going to use it because of some disabling event, whether it's long-term or it doesn't even have to be permanent. Or if you don't need it, the money goes away after you pass away or the policy is canceled. So that's a difficult pill for a lot of people to swallow, because it's like, why should I put money into it if I don't think I'm going to use it?
But you have offers that you do, I assume.
Yeah, that's what this finger was pointing up. But there are policies that I call hybrids that combine accessing life insurance with some of these long-term care benefits. In fact, they're specifically long-term care in this case, not general living benefits. So there's a long-term care benefit with life insurance, plus they pour in money from either an annuity or a 401k. So, I mean, this is great for the couple that wants to insure themselves to protect themselves.
Yes.
But if you're trying to help a relative who might still be eligible, then it becomes, a proposition where you're going to have to set aside a chunk of your retirement money, which is not a fun proposition.
Okay.
So the hybrids, though, are a great solution for individuals and couples, especially if you have a 401k and you're, starting to make retirement plans. And ideally, there's ideals. You should have like $2 million in your 401k when you retire. Not many people do, but that's what you should have, right? So if you have that $2 million nest egg, you could probably set aside up to $500,000 for the long-term care. And the good news is that if you don't use it, you can still get that money back because it becomes part of a retirement asset. So,
Okay.
so there are lots of scenarios, and the numbers can change. If you only have 100,000 in your 401k, you might still be able to get a plan, but obviously it's not going to be as rich or as long-lasting a benefit. So.
Okay. Well, I know that my parents didn't have long-term care, But luckily, they had enough of an estate that covered things,
Right.
or a pension that covered things. But I knew, that I wouldn't have something like that personally, because I'm self-employed.
Yeah.
And it's important to me to have long-term care for my son, for me. And that's why I invested in long-term care, which, I had a hybrid type of solution that, was able to use it for different things. And
Hmm.
just like what you just mentioned. And, when women are planning to have long-term care, and like me, they become the caregiver of aging parents or even their husbands, um, and they want to retain their financial independence. How do you educate them on the possibility?
Again, the best scenario is to have some planning in place when you don't need it. So if you're, I think most people, honestly, they start thinking about it when they hit 50. It's like a magic number somehow.
Mhm.
Then they start thinking, I'm going to think about retirement. And people usually have a vague concept of when they want to retire and what they want to do. So that's a perfect time to say, well, let me consider what my long-term care needs might be, and then see if that can be integrated into a strategy that includes my retirement and other considerations like Social Security and Medicare insurance, those types of things. So, and again, knowledge is king. And if you have a plan in place, then you can start making arrangements to implement the plan, which could mean starting a policy while you're super healthy and things are looking good, or just earmark funds for down the road, but know where they're going to go. And then also, we can't entirely predict what will happen, but try to stay as healthy as you can. That's where the work that you do is so vital,
Yes, it is.
because it can make a huge difference in, one, the quality of life, two, your insurability, and three, your ability to live independently, and four, the amount of money that you'll be able to bring in because you were healthy while you were working. You didn't have that downtime. So
Yes.
those
And
all come into play. It's like a holistic scenario. And I help to be a person that can sit with people and go, well, let's look at everything. And then in the areas that I specialize in, let me see what I can do. And the areas that we talk about that I don't specialize in, I do have people to refer to, like Debi Voris, for, getting their health together, and other people for different other, legal scenarios and business planning, those types of things.
that's
So
wonderful.
that's one of my strengths, is that I look at the big picture, I look at solutions, and I'm not greedy. I don't try to do everything myself because I can't be great at everything, but I can be really good at a few things, and that's what I like to focus on.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And it's really important to have good health. I mean, I got an A rating, which meant that I didn't have to pay as much.
Yeah.
and and I can help you in that arena, both mind and body, and because that's my holistic approach. And that's why I have the show, to help people realize what they need to do and to have a little bit less stress on their plate, so to speak.
Mhm.
Because I've been there when my parents were not doing well, and my mother-in-law, and I know what I went through. These things are very important. And when it comes to the longevity cap, um, and some women worry that they're going to be the caregivers, and they actually sometimes are not utilizing anything because they're you know they're looking at what they have to do for their family. Um,
Yeah.
but when that happens, that means they may not be making an income. So, what kind of solutions do you have for them when it comes to retirement savings?
Well, every scenario is different.
It is,
And
but you want to
if you're
prevent.
talking about like a family where the woman is not working or hasn't worked a lot, that's going to be a different strategy than an independent person who has their own career. Those are, two different things. But in both cases, I think, and I'm generalizing because some people have their stuff together better than me. Women haven't been encouraged to be educated. And then when they realize they don't understand how insurance works, it's intimidating. And then that means they are afraid to pick up the phone or they don't know who to talk to. And that to me is the worst situation to keep yourself in. So anybody out there, if you feel intimidated, just let's get past that. And then I can help you get the information that you need to make an informed decision. Now, in terms of creating money for your long-term care, it's going to depend on what your income is and what your age is. But, just in general, you want to put aside savings and then hopefully beyond savings, have a portion of those savings being invested so you'll get more money available. And you want to keep things liquid so that if you have a need to, some medical event that needs to be covered, you have the resources. You don't want to put things in where you cannot access funds. And then you got to look at holistically all of the stuff that you have. Like if you're a homeowner, do you have a trust? Do you have dependents? Do you have credit card debt? So all those strategies need to be included. But again, don't be overwhelmed. It's like a giant pie, and then each little sliver is a little piece that you can, slice off a little at a time. And, it will work out if you are proactive and you're also realistic, rather than saying, I can't handle this, do handle it. And another piece of advice is, if you're in a family situation, maybe somebody in the family get another part-time job to work towards those types of long-term things. And it doesn't have to be a lot of hours. I work with a lot of self-employed people, and that creates another issue because, for example, to qualify for a bank loan or a home loan is much more difficult because you're usually writing off your income. So how you look on paper to a bank is not going to be as positive. So if you're married, I would encourage people to have one person doing the independent business and the other person with an actual, regular W-2 job, like at a school or someplace, because the combination will help you to qualify for a lot more benefits more easily, including loans and, credit for getting a car and that type of thing. And then I also encourage people to, try to spend less because things are, obviously we've had a lot of inflation and everybody's worried about things like that. But you see people going out and buying like $100,000 truck and they make $50K a year. It's like, what are you doing? It's crazy. Buy a 10-year-old reliable truck and then, put aside money if you want to reward yourself when everything else over, go for it. But that's just one example. I'm not going to do the Dave Ramsey thing because that's not my style at all. But just people just need to be cognizant of the big picture, and maybe a little education could help them. Maybe I should start doing seminars like at workplaces and schools, just in general. But for women in particular, I'm sensitive to that because I have 3 daughters, and they deal with, I've learned more from them about what it's like being a woman in the marketplace, and it's wrong. It shouldn't be this difficult. So I'll do my best to help people with the knowledge and awareness that it's skewed towards the male dominated society. And you know, there are guys like me out there that are trying to fix that. So I know it's hard to trust people, and I understand that as well. So I will never give advice that's unsolicited, but I'll also give advice that I can stand behind. So that's kind
That's,
of a long way to answer the question that you asked, but
that's okay. You know, I gotta admit that you are a person that's very trustworthy and down to earth, and you really do care about others. And having you're in a family of females, so you really care about women as well as what they're going
yeah,
through. So it's really important for people to build trust with whoever they're doing any type of financial planning or health or life insurance, because in all reality, there's some people I don't trust and I don't like. My husband signed them up, and I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy with that situation.
well, on that subject, when there are couples involved, I really encourage to have them both. Like if we're gonna have a meeting, have be in attendance, have them both be on board, and to keep things separated. There are reasons that make sense, but it's more important in a family environment for everybody to be included and not. And you're right. I think women have a better nose for sniffing out something that's sketchy. Men are more like, yeah, sounds cool, man. 'Cause I've been guilty myself, but gotten
About right.
better over the years.
Yeah.
No,
Oh
I don't
no.
mean it to be an insult to your husband because he's a
No,
great
it's
guy.
not that
But
way. It's just, you know, he decides to do what he wants to do, and that's fine. At least I have something. If you
sure.
get my, I mean, at
Now,
least he
now
really,
on that topic, if I may, even though I wish things to be done at a family level, I also encourage women to do something in addition. Let's say you're married and you both work, and maybe your husband makes more than you, but you will still start building something yourself. And you don't have to make it a secret, but you don't also have to, make it a big deal. Because I think if there's a lot of power, like it would make you feel empowered to open up like a Schwab account, start putting some money into it on your own, and do that in a way that's not risky and doesn't impact your overall family structure, but it will also make you more aware of what's happening, and it'll kind of create other opportunities. So I think that's a good thing to do.
and I have done that. I've opened up, my IRA, and because it was my IRA, and I did invested it in it differently than what my husband would do. And what I love
Hmm.
about the person I'm utilizing is I can contact him. He contacts me, keeping me aware of what's going on, even when the things are going up and down and going sideways or whatever that's going. At least I know what's going on versus somebody only contacting me once a year or quarterly, or you really need to know monthly, or even more than that if
Yes.
something's going on with the stock market or whatever investment you decide to do. I have some in an alternative investment as well, and I'm quite happy. And my husband is behind that, so it's just something that he wanted to do for himself. That included me, with the other options, and I just like customer service is so important, and I feel that some people are really good at customer service, and some people are not. Some companies give you customer service really well, and some don't. So sometimes, reaching out to somebody that's going to give you customer service and follow up with you, and even when you ask them, before you sign up, are you going to contact me? Some of them just haven't until
Sure.
something hit, and afterwards, a lot of money was already gone. So
Mhm.
that's too late. you need somebody more on the ball. And luckily, a lot of the stuff that was in that person's care is no longer in that person's care. So that's my whole thing.
Yeah. Well, that whole side of financial advising is not what I do.
No, it's not.
So I do referrals to other advisors for making investments. Although I can help people with what I call the safe investments, which include annuities and 401k rollovers. And my goal is to preserve the money that you've made. Most financial advisors, their only concern is trying to make as much money as they can, because
Yes, they
then
are.
they get paid more. So,
Yeah.
so I'm a little different. And it's, one of the big reasons is for like the example of what's happening right now, where the market dropped a huge number in one day and people lost tons of money. Then some other people made a bunch of money from that, and it doesn't seem right. So my focus instead is, okay, that world has its need and purpose. Everybody should be investing, but not 100%. So some of the other money that's involved, let's talk about how we can preserve that for the rest of your life.
Yes.
And then when you actually retire, that 401k, you have to do something with that. Let me
Mhm.
be involved with that conversation. So a typical conversation, let's say the $1 million example. You got $1 million in your 401k, you're retiring. What do you do? Well, again, everybody's different. Everybody has like people, expenses, desires. But let's think about how much of that money can be put into a safe vehicle and have some of that safe vehicle give you a guaranteed income stream for the rest of your life, like a private pension. That's an annuity. And those are
That's
offered by insurance companies. And a lot of
okay.
people go, I've heard annuities are bad. Well, that's just marketing. Annuities have been around like since Roman times, because anything that is like a structured payment where it's come-ins every month, that's annuitizing some vehicle. So I don't want to get into too many different terminologies, and there are lots of different types of annuities. But just as an example, when you retire, some of that money should be in long-term care. Some of it should be in permanent income, lifetime income. And then we can figure out the rest of it. Like, sure, do some investments, buy gold, do a little crypto, but don't lay your nest egg because you think you're going to make a bunch of money. That's the worst mistake you can make.
Yeah, that's very true. Sometimes you do need to be
That's true for
diversified.
women and men.
Yeah. Yeah. You need to be diversified and don't put everything in one basket. So, and that's
Yeah.
very true. So they should be looking at, their health insurance, their long-term care, the annuities. Is there anything else that you protect their income with? Or is that it?
Well, there's an estate planning component to everything as well. And
Okay.
that's where I involve other professionals.
Okay.
And then there are things that involve estates, for example, what we call a second to die policy.
Oh, what's that?
That is a way that, especially for wealthier families,
Okay.
where the money keeps the estate going, and then you don't want to have everything become a taxable event to the estate. So there's ways to structure those so it's staggered, and then you can also set aside money towards like a charitable giving situation. So those are things that involve attorneys and other specialists. So that's another piece of the pie. It doesn't apply to everybody, obviously, but it's another thing to, just to be aware of. And
Yes.
of course, if you own a home, you should have a trust, right? So if
Right.
you die and your children want to get the house, you don't want it stuck in probate.
Exactly.
Basic legal situation.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
don't deal with that in terms of product, except I also do life insurance that people can tie to their mortgage payments. So,
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
yeah, so there's, it's kind of like a math puzzle, and every person's numbers are going to be different.
Hmm.
And I'm perfectly willing to sit down and help them like make a picture of what the puzzle looks like. And
Yes.
then we can figure out what they want to tackle and when. And if never any obligation, if somebody wants to sit down and I'll create like a blueprint for them, and they can just say, okay, thanks. That could be the end of it. But I do that as in good faith, expecting that some people will benefit from the information and then they'll become clients. Some people won't. That's fine. No problem.
Yes. And a lot of people are not really aware of estate planning. And I did have somebody on my show last year. He was a wonderful estate planning attorney. His name was Matt Farron. And,
Oh,
you
yes.
know, he
Great guy.
also recommended to have some, long-term life and insurance and things like that as well, because all these little things that you invest in, all of them are going to go into your estate planning portfolio. So that
Correct.
when you do, get ill or decline or pass away, people know what to do and what they have available to them, and that's really important.
Yeah, another thing that we see sometimes is that people that have a sizable estate, well, they got like a bunch of money in a savings account that's not doing anything. Well, I don't need it, but so those situations create opportunities for insurance way to strengthen the estate for the benefit of the successor. So, or if you have a church you're a member of, you want to leave money to the church, you could buy a single premium life insurance policy, let's just say for $100,000, and then when you die, it becomes a $150,000 benefit. So the 50,000 can go to your church, and the 100,000 goes back to your family. Everybody's happy, and
That's
it's
cool.
tax free.
That's cool.
People don't know about stuff like that. So
So you offer a lot of tax-free advice as well, and obviously, because you mentioned
yeah, I mean, why pay more taxes than you need to? Obviously, we have to keep the government running, and I don't even want to get into what's going on in Washington. It's insane.
so.
But you're always going to pay something. But why pay more than you have to?
Very true. Very true.
And most of the wealthy business owners work with CPAs, and their goal is not to just do a tax return, but to minimize their tax obligations.
Hmm.
So, like real estate investing is one way that you take a portion of your wealth, and the great thing about real estate is that you can write off a lot of the expenses that are on paper expenses and end up not owing taxes when you make a whole bunch of money.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like magic.
Magic.
And the one that's one of my favorites is cash value permanent life insurance.
Okay, that sounds wonderful.
And a lot of people aren't aware of the fact that it could be like a 401k alternative where you can take money, and it could be like a Roth where you're using after tax dollars, putting into a
Mhm.
life insurance policy that is creating cash value. And
Uh-huh.
then over time, you have a huge chunk of money. Guess what? You can take that money and at any time, as much as you want, no penalties. You don't have to be 59 and a half.
Mhm.
And there's no tax because it's money in your policy.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, Scott,
Yeah. So,
what is your offer today?
well, thank you for asking. My offer is a free, it says 15 minutes, but I figured out we need at least 30 minutes complimentary consultation. And I can sit with you either in person or over Zoom, which is probably a more likely scenario, and
Mhm.
just review some of the things we talked about. I'll have like a little chart showing the different types of needs for insurance versus income, assets, expenses, and then figure out where you are, and then see if you want to have another conversation to take it to the next step. But
Okay.
there's no obligation, and I will create like a blueprint for you to identify particular areas where you might want to pay attention either now or down the road.
Okay, great. And you can get his offer at lifetreepros@gmail.com and mention Debbie Bohr so he knows where it came from. So, Scott, would you like to be? This is a wonderful offer. It is 30 minutes, not 15. And,
Yeah.
he is a generous guy. So,
We can go longer. You know?
what?
We can go
He is
longer if it.
okay. Yeah, it may go longer is what I'm trying to say. So anyways, thank you for being on my show. We like to be a guest again.
Oh, I would love it. This was really fun. It was in a kind of unexpected way.
Okay. No
I hope I
problem.
didn't deviate from the question list too much, but
That's okay. That's okay. I go with the flow.
me
So please
too.
stick around
Yeah,
for closing
great.
remarks. We may have some more time that you can say something else. And but you at least have another minute or so. So I need to wrap things up. Remember, I do revitalize people's lives in many different areas of health and mindset. I help people have a healthier gut, bone and joint issues, cardiovascular, and more, immunity. And also, I work with mindset. And I guide you to clean toxic foods and high quality essential nutrients. My coaching is for optimizing health and everything else. But those nutrients that I offer, what's going to happen is that you're going to feel better because your symptoms will reduce. And possibly even uplift your mood. Now, with my mindset coaching, I do help my clients release their stress, emotions, and entanglements from the past, and their mindset is going to be reshaped. And with my health optimization and weight release coaching, your body be more efficient. That's a whole mind-body solution. So go to Debi Changes Lives, DebiChangesLives, as in Victory ES.com /LinkTree, LINKTREE. And there you get to know me, I get to know you, and I'll guide you to your optimal health. It does start with 1 or 2 assessments. Now, the first one's actually complimentary, where you're going to rate your symptoms in the last 30 days in 4 categories of health. Some questions are repeated. Please answer them all, even if they're repeated. You'll get a health score. I'll review it with you. When you move forward with my services, I'll create that custom natural holistic strategy and review this on a monthly basis. I also have 2 different types of Zyto scans. And one I prefer to do has been recently named Zero Link because I can send it out to you remotely and internationally. I sent one to South Africa. The Zero Link is a transdermal optical imaging app that I send a link to your phone. You scan your face for 30 seconds, and it's only looking at blood flow for components of energetic, functional, emotional, different body systems and lifestyles. And that hidden gem is the emotional. It creates a wellness report of biomarkers out of range and products and services that bring it back into range. And I review it with you. It's quite intensive. The cost of it is $75. If you move forward with a program or a product, I give you a $25 discount. I even have a family pack of 5 scans, saving you $50. Now, the Zero Link is a transdermal optical imaging app, also known as TOI. You can look up those 2 terms on pubmed.gov, pubmed.gov, for the accuracy of this app. And people are really amazed what their body tells them through this app. You'll be too. So if you're curious, get yours now by going to my LinkTree and looking for Zyto Link. And so on the same site, you'll find my programs. I have Take Your Body Back, a 12-week weight release mindset coaching program where you're going to create a new version of you that'll drive you to success. All coaching is on Zoom, and the first one's always private to you because I do go over those health assessments. I give you a choice between 2 meal plans, directions on one, and I also give you instructions how to create that new you in an avatar board that's going to drive you with emotion and passion to achieve your health and weight transformational goals. The rest of the coaching, whether it's private or group, are done the same. We're going to be celebrating your wins. We're going to be using that board, and I'll be guiding you with health and mindset tips, as well as answer your questions. You will become a new you. You're always welcome to ask me questions at the consultation, as well as watch a previous episode, Holistic Self-Love, for more details of this program. Just remember, my price has gone up. Why Fast, the in-a-minute fast food program that gets your cells and body humming, and in turn boosts your metabolism with just nutrition, high-quality essential nutrients. And you can do it on your own, and you can ask me questions here. And if you need some more coaching, you can do a 2 or 4 week program, or pay as you go. Just remember, intermittent fasting repairs cells, reduces inflammation, and gives you mental clarity and more. Mindset enhancement and health optimization programs. You could do like this is with smaller programs, or I can create a custom program for you. Because this is a long-term journey, the bigger programs will be better for you. Now, for a limited time, I'm offering Debi's coaching chats, which is a 30-minute in-a-minute coaching session in a small session. Obviously, in a small session, it's private, it's not recorded. A survey picks a topic. You can learn how to optimize your health, ways to release stress emotions, releasing weight efficiently, balance your hormones, creating a winning mindset that you can use for your health and weight transformations, and create that new version of you in an avatar board that'll drive you with emotion and passion to achieve your health and weight transformation goals. These meetings are on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. And you need to be registered for it. Again, this is at Debi Changes Lives, DebiChangesLives, as in Victory ES.com/chat, CHTS. And you'll see what my coaching is all about. Finally, learn more about alternative health services, programs, products, offers, upcoming shows, articles, blogs, events, and promos by subscribing to my newsletter, which is at DebiChangesLives.com/radio TV show, all in lowercase, it's one word. I give you a gift, a 30-day health and mindset daily action journal where you can record your gratitudes, thoughts, feelings, emotions, the foods you ate, water you drank, nutritional products you took, and also the exercise you've done on a daily basis, as well as you can track your measurements. You want to review this on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to see your wins and celebrate them. Find your gaps to work on. If you need to get over your gap, contact me for coaching. This journal is a great health and mindset awareness tool. I am certain that you found this show educational, informative, and enjoyed it. Reach out to me for my services, programs, products, and offers, and reach out to Scott for his offer and services, and he may surprise you with something else. So, Scott, do we have time for him to come back? So what's your close?
Yeah, here I am. Well, I close by, first of all, thanking you for having me. But also, I just want people to know that the biggest thing they should be concerned with is pretending everything's fine when they just don't really have a good handle on their knowledge. And in that regard, don't be intimidated. Don't be afraid to ask. I'm here to help. And I can, for example, I work with Medicare also. People are so confused by what the government tells them or what they think they're supposed to do. And then when I explain it to them, they understand. It's like, why don't they just tell us that up front? This is like,
Very true.
I don't know why, but find somebody you can trust. I think I'm your guy, but you can certainly trust me, and I'd like to be able to help you. So thank you for the opportunity.
Scott, you're wonderful. So continue to enjoy my radio and TV show, Debi Changes Lives, on Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, where your holistic journey begins.